How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Well, guys, as always, it is our favorite night of the week. It's Tuesday night, and we are also coming to you live like we always do from Sodi's Cigar and Pipe in Oak Park Heights, Minnesota, from the traveling Drew Estate Cigar Studios. And as always, we are brought to you by Drew Estate Cigars, and they want to announce that the Pappy Van Winkle tradition will now be sold exclusively through Pappy & Company at pappyco.com. Drew Estate is honored to represent the Van Winkle family with an ultra-premium cigar that reinforces the legacy of a living American icon, Julian Van Winkle. The Pappy Van Winkle tradition features an Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper, Indonesian binder, and aged fillers from Nicaragua and Dominican Republic. Jonathan Drew, founder and president of Drew Estate, adds, "We are thrilled to be providing the daughters of Julian Van Winkle, owners of pappyco.com, with an exclusive cigar that is deeply aligned with the core of their culture and tradition that matches the legacy of their brand. To find out more about that, please visit pappyco.com." So, Garrett, it's we had a great weekend. For those of you who saw, we had a unscheduled, unscripted live show from Ristafari 2020.
We did,
and I barely survived the event.
I tell you, I didn't have any alcoholic beverages. Those who know me. I've been sober 25 years, and I barely made it through Ristafari. So
yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of mix there. There's a lot of people who don't partake, and there's a lot of people who do. But it's just there's so much going on, and it's such the food alone. Even if you don't drink booze, the food alone will put you in a coma.
Yep.
So it's and because the food is absolutely incredible. Risty, Tanya, all you guys were again so grateful. We had a great time.
Man.
So I want to talk about, sports and stuff like that, but there's really everything shut down.
Yep. It is shut down. We are all trapped.
So
right now.
You guys who are watching and listening, share it out on Facebook groups. People don't really have much to do right now, but stay inside and watch cigar shows. So let's get this out there. Let's get people participating a little bit, since everybody's probably got a little bit of cabin fever cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And let's enjoy a good cigar show tonight. We're really excited because we have a great special guest on the show this evening, and we're going to bring in our special guest. And that segment, as always, it's brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com. They are the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Mm-hmm. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Jeff Borshowitz, believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com, because you will definitely want to find out which stores are open and when they're open, because they're probably not right now. So definitely call before you visit. Welcome, everybody, to the show. We're once again so grateful to have you on with us. Please, if you would, from United Cigars, please welcome Oliver Nivaud to the show. Oliver, welcome to How About That Cigar Live. How you doing, brother?
Bonjour, ça va?
I am doing fantastic. Quarantined in the house. I got a little, not even a 10 by 10 here, and making sure that I'm abiding by all the proper rules, but I am enjoying a nice United cigar. I'm actually smoking a firecracker right now.
It's pretty nice to, if you're going to be quarantined like we are right now, it's, the best way to be quarantined is with a fine cigar. So Garrett and I, Oliver, thank you so much for sending us a couple things to smoke this evening. Garrett and I are going to fire up some of these lovely cigars right now.
Hey, I want to. So Oliver, you're a New England guy.
Yes, sir.
I want to know, despite all the COVID stuff going on, the hearts that are breaking all over New England.
Yeah.
Because your beloved is going to Tampa Bay.
Who's that? What?
You don't.
No, I know what's going on. I'm just trying to play dumb.
Randy Moss is.
Randy. So yeah,
For those,
talk to us about the heartbreak.
It's I don't know, heartbreak. It's for me, it's one of those things. You see a great quarterback coming, towards the end of his career. He's got another 2 years. Who knows with Brady? You say another 2 years, it might be another 5, but then he's going to go to another team, and I hope it's the same. I hope he does great. He was always great in New England. He played hard. He was more of a leader for that team, and what we call Patriots Nation than anybody I can remember. He's so motivated. It doesn't matter if they're down or he's injured or anything. He motivates a team, so he just gives an intensity to the stadium that I've never seen. And to see him go somewhere else, I hope he does well. But it is what it is. We got to move on.
I think he is the GOAT.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he is the clear GOAT. Say what you want about if you like him, dislike him, if you're not a Pats fan, whatever. Tom Brady is immortal on the football field.
Yeah.
And I mean, gosh.
Yeah, I think you have all the haters that are out there now that you could even say anything bad about Brady. Once he's retired, once he's gone, then they'll admit that he was and is the absolute best quarterback that the game has seen.
Yeah, and myself, diehard Green Bay Packers fan forever, and since I don't know 1989 or 90 or something like that, when the Packers were pretty horrible. But seeing Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, great quarterbacks, no taking that away from them. But they're not even in the same conversation with Tom Brady, and people can, like you said, there's always going to be haters. He has proven himself in a different league. Bill Belichick's the same way. That's actually a question, is considering Bill Belichick's future. Do you think he's going to continue to coach in New England without Tom Brady, or is he going to retire?
I think he's just, there's too much of an ego there, and there's too much that he wants to prove. Because between the two of them, it's always, well, is it Brady's team? Is it Belichick's team? I think he's going to stick around, but it's it's hard. I don't know. I look at these guys, and you're on top. Why not go out on top?
Yeah, no kidding.
One that I'm a Green Bay fan as well. I spent about 8 years in Wisconsin, so the Packers were always my NFC team, but he was one that I just didn't want to see go to another team, and he was half the player that he was before.
Yeah.
So, Belichick, I think he's around. I can't see him. I can't see him leaving, but whatever. I couldn't see Brady leaving either.
Yeah.
Well, and my team seems to be giving players away.
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings have let their top 2 cornerbacks go, their big run stuffer in the middle, and I mean, albeit a whiny little bee in Stephon Diggs, but we suddenly look like we have a lot of draft work and off-season work to do in order to get a team together.
Well, and that's if there's a season.
Yeah,
exactly. Who knows? I mean, it's training camp. Training camp doesn't start until July, but still, that's
and then but just all of the big names that are moving around and going places. You've got Jason Witten heading to Las Vegas, which is weird to say.
Yeah, it is weird to say.
Teddy Bridgewater. I'm super excited and happy for him. He deserves to be a starting quarterback. Just there are a ton of big guys moving around the league in the last few days, and it's been exciting to watch for sure.
I hope there's a season. I really do hope there's a season.
Yeah.
Because I think once we've got this drought from so many different sports, I think we're, just as sports fans, as people who enjoy watching that, I think we're going to need something.
Isn't that amazing that we're even saying that? I hope there's a season.
Oh my gosh!
Because it just that the fear that's been put into us and the way that our minds work. If we're talking about a football season, that the spring training will start in July. The off-season games will start in August. right? August, September. No. When do they start?
Yeah, August.
August.
Preseason starts in
Preseason,
August.
yep.
Yeah.
Starts in August, and then the season starts. But if there's no football season, where do we stand? I mean, forget about just the football season. Where do we stand as a society? Like, but we're even starting to think about that. Like, if
Right.
COVID could last that long, we're in major issues.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, global economy, and I mean, we've already seen the economy take a huge hit, and we won't even really see the impact of all of this for probably next couple weeks, months.
Yeah.
It's killing the small business for sure, and this just really sucks right now.
Impact.
Well, and that's another thing I wanted to bring up really quick is obviously every cigar shop is different, and we want you to call ahead before you go traveling out to your brick and mortar cigar shops. But we've seen just here in Minneapolis, in the Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities area, we've seen a lot of Facebook posts and email messages from these shops saying the lounges are closed, but if you want to order something, call, pay for it over the phone, and then come and we'll bring it out to your car for you. And I want to encourage you guys, wherever you live, if you're starting to run out of cigars, call your favorite brick and mortar cigar shop and see if they're still doing orders that way. If they are, buy the cigars that you like to smoke and go by and have them do the curbside pickup for you, because we got to keep these brick and mortar cigar shops at least in some level of functionality while all this is going on.
Jimmy John's made me call them. I walked into the store to get something to go, and they said, we don't have an order for anybody. And I said, oh yeah, I just want to, and they were like, go out to your car and call us.
So they made you walk out.
So they made me walk out.
Wow.
And call them with my order.
Wow.
So that you're not standing in the
right. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just touched on something which is great and true and near and dear to my heart as a United representative. The brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Brick and mortar. And we've been saying that, and we've been preaching that since day one, to support brick and mortar before you shop online, because the brick and mortar, that's where the lounge is.
Absolutely. That's where the cigar culture lives.
Absolutely. And hopefully we start to understand that a little bit more now, because we are quarantined, because we can't go to our cigar lounges, and we're starting to figure out ways to smoke and enjoy a cigar in either in our house, outside, weather permitting, but where else do you go? And then even if you do find a spot, then it's not the same experience, because you're not sitting down with someone. You're not either meeting a friend or meeting somebody new at a cigar lounge. Yeah. So absolutely support brick and mortar, before you go to the online shops. But right now it's definitely a hard time. It's a hard time. It's a grab and go now.
And real quick, I just want to mention for those who are watching and listening, both live and after the fact, if you want to win some of the cool stuff that we've been sent by Oliver and United Cigar, please share out this. Please share this, and we will pick a random person who has shared it. We got some really cool stuff.
This guy is the cameras, the lights are way too bright, but this ashtray,
dude,
is the most badass, baller, fun ashtray I've ever seen. And one of you awesome viewers is gonna get this in the mail from us here at How About That Cigar, and from Oliver at United.
We got a hat,
got a lovely hat, and I've got some other stuff too. So so Oliver, let's kind of dive into let's talk about happy stuff. Let's talk about cigars, because this is a cigar show after all. So Oliver, take us back in time to that first cigar experience that you had, and kind of the road that led down to where you are today, being in your role at United Cigars.
Wow, that's this is gonna date myself, but we're talking 1988, 89. I think I had my first cigar. Wasn't a cigarette smoker. No interest in it. My father started out with cigarettes, and being French descent, I had a lot of family members that did smoke cigarettes, but there were a few that smoked cigars, and I kind of leaned more towards them. My uncle smoked cigars, and my father ended up turning to be a more of a cigar smoker. So my first cigar I actually took out of his humidor. I smoked that, and I was 16 years old at the time, and then that just turned into a passion.
Do you remember what it was?
I always say I think it was an Arturo Fuente, because he was a big Fuente fan, but also being from Europe, he had a lot of Cubans in there.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I believe it was the Fuente, but that's where I started. And then back then I was smoking a lot of Avos. I got into Avo Domain.
Mm-hmm.
First premium box of cigars that I ended up buying. Actually, my first cigar box that I bought, I was underage. I had a fake ID from New York City that said I was 18, because at the time in New York, to get into some of the clubs to see concerts, you had to be 18.
Yep.
So my first box of cigars was a box of Sweeties. It was a box of 50, machine made, but I brought it up to Canada with a bunch of friends for a school ski trip. And then my first premium box was a 10-count box of Te Amos, and I thought that was that was the world. Yeah. And then that escalated from there, and I lived in Boston, so I would visit LJ Peretti, at the time Cigar Masters and Gloucester Street Cigar. And then in 97, I moved out to Las Vegas, and that was October 97. I was doing computer graphics. I was just kind of keeping myself busy, freelancing, and I wanted a part-time job because I had free time. I smoked cigars, so I kind of looked this company up in the phone book, went in for an interview. I worked for Fryboy Tobacco in Las Vegas for 14 years, and that turned into more manufacturing and distribution. And then we started getting into, they opened up Casa Fuente with Arturo Fuente and Robbie Levin of Ashton. And then we opened up Tacos and Tequila, Rum Bar at Mirage. And then I moved back to the East Coast. And then I linked up with United Cigars about 3.5 years ago. And I've been cruising ever since. These 3 years have probably been the best 3 years in the industry for me out of the entire experience.
And what was it that what was it that brought you into the fold with United Cigar, as far as, because United Cigar is such a broad spectrum, and kind of talk to us about what brought you into the fold there with United.
So I was, being from Massachusetts, high tobacco tax, a lot of the shops had gone away. I had a friend that Paul Giacalone, who had Gloucester Street Cigar. He was also part of One Off Cigars originally. He invited me up to New Hampshire to go see the Cigar Authority. We sat down. We were watching the show. I started talking to Dave Garofalo. He had the United Cigar, United Cigar Company, and wanted to do something with it, because he originally started that to work with retailers so they could all work together. Had a lot of brands that were grandfathered in, and wanted someone to work with the brands and develop them and take them across the country to shops that had not heard of them. So that's where I stepped in and did what I could to kind of put our cigars on the map. We're a small company. I handle the social media, the marketing, heavily involved in the production. So there's a lot of work involved. So I can't, my feelers and my arms aren't as long. I can't reach everybody, but we do our best, and it's been a great experience just to watch all the different brands grow. Atabey was my main focus the first year, because when I started, I noticed that with the portfolio as large as it is, with 15 different lines, with social media, as I was posting everything, I noticed that by the time I got to the end, people were forgetting about the first one. So I said, I'm going to take our premium, our top line, the Atabey, and I'll focus on that, and then we'll kind of fold in the other brands. And that's how it's progressed for these 3 years. So now on the map, I'm comfortable saying that Atabey has a big mark. Byron, Bandolero, now United, La Giana, and Jose Dominguez are starting to come to the front as well. So it's nice getting and I don't need to say recognition, but to walk into a shop, I have to explain this feeling. to walk into the shop the first month I was with the company, and for someone to say, never heard of the cigar, you're asking for $30 for a cigar you're going up against, top name brands that have been around that people ask for, what is a cigar? Not really kicking me out of the store, but basically really dismissing me. And then that's turned into, oh yeah, I've heard of that brand. Oh yeah, we have customers asking for that brand. Retailers are calling, asking for the brand now. So it's great to see the the development of the United portfolio with the help of honestly, I mean, podcasters like you, bloggers, customers out there. Instagram has been a huge proponent for that.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to me about, because I've got to admit, I've been a fan of Cigar Authority for ages, and I've been a listener forever. And it was 3 years ago at the IPCPR trade show that for the first time I got a chance to meet Dave Garofalo. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit, I was kind of fanboying out a little bit when I got to meet him and talk to him. And he's just a regular guy, obviously, but yeah, I was so excited to meet him because I've been such a fan of the Cigar Authority podcast for a while. I've made my fair share of purchases from 2guyscigars.com before, and talk a little bit about your relationship with Dave and working together with him, because he's one of those guys in the cigar industry that he's been in the business so long, and not only has he been in the business so long, he's been involved with so many different facets of the business for so long that he knows pretty much everybody, and he knows a lot that, say for instance, somebody who's owned a brick and mortar shop, even if they've owned it for many years, that's what they know. Or somebody who has a podcast, if they've been doing it for years, that's what they know. Or a brand owner, so on and so forth. But he wears so many hats. And what is it like, partnering with a guy like that in this business?
He's not, I'd say the best part about working with him is that he's not afraid to make a mistake. He's made so many over the years that's what makes him successful. And I know that for some that might sound negative, like, oh, well, he's making so many mistakes. But when I say that, it's because he'll make a mistake, but then he'll focus on that and make it better.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to try anything. In fact, that ombre ashtray was something that I had come out with early 2000. And when I was working for a different company, they thought it was a terrible idea. They didn't want to do it. It didn't have any value. And I kind of put it to the side. But then when I brought it to United, Dave loved it. And he said, all right, let's give it a try. And there's just something about it. Anytime it's shown to a retailer or to someone, it just brings a smile to their face.
Yeah.
If you can do that with a customer, you've won them over. So I always say, keep that at the register. When you set your cigar down to ring up the sale, put your cigar into the ombre, and then the smoke comes out, and the customer will say, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. That's pretty cool. How do I get one of those?" And really, we don't sell them. We've had many companies ask to buy them, but we will not sell them. But we'll send them to our retailers so that they can use them as a promotional item with a box purchase, or for a giveaway or anything like that. So we do that so that it helps the brick and mortar. But to go back to your question, he's a man of many different hats. He like I said, he's not afraid to make mistakes. He wrote a book on promotional ideas that have worked for him in the on the retail side. But he does do the podcast. My relationship with him is very good. We communicate quite a bit, but I'm on the road probably about 3 weeks out of the month, so there's not a lot of FaceTime with him, but I definitely bounce ideas off of him. He's never afraid to share any information with other people, to make them better. Where you have, a lot of, the different territories I go to, you have some retailers that don't want to share information with what they call their competitor. But we're really not in competition together, because the consumer that's in the lounge, I'd say at least 85, 90% of those customers that are sitting in that lounge visit other shops. That loyalty is just, and it's they're loyal to that shop, but they visit other shops.
Yeah.
So, just share the customer. If everybody shares the wealth, they could benefit from each other. And that's one thing he's not afraid to do.
Yeah. And one of the, like you said, with especially with the Atabay brand, you're going into shops and you're taking this new product with an extremely, with one of the higher price points, around, and you're competing against products that are tried and true, and that have had those price points forever and have reputations built up and things like that. For the people who are watching and listening, give them an idea about because it all comes down to the tobacco.
Right.
Give people an idea of the, the level of attention to detail that's put into the tobaccos that go into those Atabay cigars.
Yeah, it's the tobacco and the construction and time.
Yeah. When
you look at Atabay, for instance, and Byron and Bandolero, those are made by Nelson Alfonso. Nelson Alfonso does he has a company in Spain called Golden Age Video Design. He produces a lot of the packaging, ashtrays, humidors, a lot of the items that come out of Cuba. When he started developing these different lines, Atabay and Byron Bandolero, he started with the idea that this should not be rushed. He wanted to have an excellent product. He wanted to kind of bring it back to what it used. I don't want to say what it used to be, but he just didn't want to rush the process. So Nelson will take tobacco. His company's name is Selected Tobacco for the tobacco side. So he obviously selects his tobacco very carefully. It's aged for 5 to 7 years prior to any rolling. The fermentation process that he uses is very different from others, and it's much longer. When the cigars are rolled, this is post-roll. This is nothing that's done in the industry. He ages the cigars for a minimum of 2 years on Bandolero, 3 to 5 years on Byron, and a minimum of 5 years aging on the Atabay. And not your typical aging. When we think about aging, if I say, okay, my box that I have in my humidor has been aging for 5 years, that's a different type of aging process. It's really, my humidor set at, let's just say 70. The box is sitting there. I'm not rotating cigars. I'm really not opening the box. I'm not moving the cigars around. It's in the container that it was shipped in. When Nelson ages a cigar, he'll place the cigars fully rolled, finished. They're all together. The humidor that he uses has 5 different cedars, and that's from ceiling to floor. He uses a Cuban cedar, Spanish, Mexican, Brazilian, and Lebanese. These different cedar planks around the humidor are 1 inch thick. He has those planks there at 1 inch because he sands them down about twice a year to give them a fresh layer so that the aromas from the cedars really come out.
Yeah.
And in the humidor, he'll bring humidity down to 40% and then gradually bring it back up to 70, then back down to 40, then back up to 70. And what that does is he calls it the second fermentation process because it cleans out the cigars. So if you can imagine a cigar when it's at 70%, that's the size it's supposed to be. When it goes to 40%, the tobacco is drying out, right? But yeah. It's pushing out any other impurities. So it's forcing out any of the humidity that's in there. And then when it goes back up to 70, it's breathing in all those different cedar notes. So on not only the construction, but when you're smoking an Atabay or Byron or Bandolero, it's very clean on the palate. It's a different experience. And when I first went to United, I kind of had the same, the same feeling as you may have had first when you heard about Atabay, or retailers have, that it's a $30 cigar. Why am I paying so much? And it's not going to work on the market. But when I sat down and smoked it, it was a completely different experience from anything I had ever had. It's just incredibly unique. He doesn't disclose everything in the cigar. Like a great chef, he likes to keep his recipe to himself. But the Atabay does have an Ecuadorian wrapper, and it uses a little bit of Peruvian. He likes that sweetness on the Peruvian leaf on the filler, and it's the aging process that really sets it apart from everything else.
And are the this is one thing I'm curious about, that the Atabey itself, a few different sizes, a few different vitolas, but the core blend is that the same on each of those, or is it I mean, obviously there's always going to be minor tweaks from, say a 6x60 versus 6 5/8 by 46. But aside from that, is it essentially the same core blend?
Yeah. So it's essentially the same. But what's fantastic about the Atabey line is from the Hechizos, the smallest size, the 4x44, all the way up to the Bandidos, and an 8x58. They're so different, but it is the same blend. But you can really taste. You'll really taste the wrapper, and there's a little more Peruvian Ligero in the Lancero, even, and that will blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind on the Lancero. But they're all the same, undisclosed on the filler, a little bit of Peruvian, Ecuadorian wrapper, all aged for a minimum of 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the line, and also the frustrating part about the line.
Well, yeah, I mean that aging process it's pretty incredible, because you think about the Atabey specifically. Once the cigar is completely rolled, it's going to sit and age, and as you described, with that changing humidity and all that, for a minimum of 5 years after it's rolled. But then prior to those tobaccos being rolled into that cigar, some of the leaves, the youngest leaf in an Atabey before it's even rolled is what, 3 years old?
Yeah, minimum 5 to 7.
Minimum 5 to 7. So by the time it gets to an end consumer, if it goes, straight from that 5-year aging mark to a consumer, you're looking at tobaccos that are at least 10 years from harvest, if not more.
If not more, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, incredible. And then, so Garrett right now is smoking the Byron, which is the
3 años.
Yeah, which is Poema. Is that?
Yeah, the Poema.
Okay, so obviously same factory, but a slightly different process, but still, again, like you said, refined. Garrett, what are you getting from that cigar right now? He's speechless.
So I'll be the first one to tell you that I will always give an honest opinion of a cigar. And there are cigars that are at this, ultra premium price point that I don't care for. And I know that, cigars are like food or wine or anything else, that we have our preferences. I will say that this is the most complex flavor profile I'm pretty sure I've ever had. All the things that are happening, it is smooth, yet on one draw, I'll get that cedar. On another draw, I'll get this sweetness. On another draw. So there is just so much happening in this cigar. I'm just going to sit here.
Nice. Now. So yeah, Oliver, tell us about the concept behind the Byrons.
The Byron. So Byron was Nelson Alfonso's family's line in the 1800s, and in 1850 they named their cigar line Byron after Lord Byron, who was a poet in London. The family had that line. It was made in Cuba. It was a Cuban brand sold in the U.S. around the early 1800s. Early 1900s. The family lost the line, but a lot of cigar families lost the lines in the early 1900s. Because you had, I don't know how many thousands of different brands in Cuba.
Yeah.
And that was consolidated down to 30 or so brands. So a lot of those smaller brands left. The Byron line was picked back up by Nelson in the late 1990s, mid 1990s, and he started to redevelop and blend the cigar based on what he thought the flavor profile would have been like. So he came about this because he started, and he was helping out writing a book called The World of Habanos. So it was a history of Cuban tobacco, and he always had a passion for it. and he wanted to get back in. So when he learned more about his family's history and the cigar and processing tobacco and how to properly make a cigar, he started blending the Byron. So the Byron, you have 3 different centuries based on when the family owned the line. So you have the 1800s. So the 19th century is what you're smoking now. That's the Poema. The 3 años, that means it's been aged post-roll for 3 years. The 19th century has 4 sizes, but they're all so incredibly unique. You have the Petit Poema, which is aged for 4 years, the Poema, 3 years, Epic Poem, and then you have the Grand Poema. The 19th century blend is a little bit of Nicaraguan, a little bit of Peruvian and undisclosed fillers, and then Ecuadorian wrapper. Aged anywhere from 3 to 5 years, notated on the second band. When you go into the 20th century, that is a blend of Dominican, Peruvian, undisclosed filler, and then Ecuadorian wrapper. And that all of those are aged anywhere from 3 to 5 years as well. And then you go into the 21st century, and that is a blend more, say, closer to the Atabey blend. It uses the Atabey wrapper, so it's a very light Ecuadorian wrapper. But then you have a little bit of Dominican, Peruvian, and undisclosed fillers.
Okay.
On the 21st century, that has 4 years of age.
So yeah, I remember Garrett and I went to Big's mansion in Chicago a couple of years ago, and it was, I couldn't remember which one it was until you mentioned it. It was that Grand Poema that we both smoked when we were there, and both of us just kind of the same thing. We just sort of looked at each other and just shook our heads like wow, there's a lot going on here, and you really do get that. Like Garrett was saying, there's complexity. There's just a lot going on because not just because of the varieties of tobacco in the cigar, but like you said, there's nuance that comes out with different terms of aging, different types of aging, and different types of storage during that aging process. And that's one of the things that we both enjoyed when we sat down and smoked that cigar. Was just a lot of nuance, and it's a cigar that you can really just sit and focus on the flavors and kind of just stop worrying about all the crap going on in your life and just really focus on that tobacco. And it's a really nice smoke.
Yeah, and I can see, obviously with a ultra premium price point of a cigar, you really got 2 kind of people. The person who's looking for that special cigar, they want to celebrate, they want to maybe just relax after, a tough week at work or whatever it is and have an amazing cigar. And then, the high roller who just loves a great high profile cigar. And I got to tell you that every time I see an ultra premium cigar, I ask somebody I know, who I trust, is this worth $30 cigar? And I can tell you that if anyone asks me if this or the other Byrons that we've smoked, are they worth the price point? Absolutely. They are.
I think so. Thank
you.
And so, I fired up and I want to talk about some of the other lines. And right now, what I'm smoking, I fired up the United Cigars, the Box Press Toro, and definitely a different smoking experience. But I'm this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going to give my impressions. I think this one could be a mixed filler.
Mixed filler, like a
Cuban sandwich.
No, that's long.
Okay, so I just probably cut it sloppy. But it's got a nice open draw. There's tons of smoke output, and I get a lot of this sort of campfire smokiness mixed with a little bit of sweetness. It's got almost, even though I know it doesn't have any of this in there, but there's almost this little note of like I said, campfire, sort of maybe, like you're sitting enjoying a cigar next to your smoker while you're making some ribs or something. It's just sort of got little bits of those sort of notes in there. And tell us a little bit about this particular blend and the price point.
Yeah, so the United, that's our core line that's made out of the Maja Cubana factory in Gorado, just outside of Tamboril, Dominican Republic, made by Jose Dominguez, which I'm smoking here right now.
Nice.
And the United is a box press, so you're going to get a lot of smoke, right? A box press is a little bit underfilled, so that they can box press it so that the draw isn't tight.
Yeah.
And in that you have a little bit of Dominican, mostly Dominican, and then Brazilian Modafina is where you might be getting some of that sweetness.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And a Mexican San Andreas wrapper.
yeah, yeah.
And, on United is fantastic. You're looking at four sizes really. We have the Robusto, Toro, Churchill, and then we have a pencil. And that's a box of 100 that usually retail for about depending on your state's tobacco tax, $1 to $2. But that pencil is it's shaped like a pencil, but that's a great grab at the register.
Yeah,
for an in-between cigar.
Yeah.
And we do have a decent viewer question here. Decent because I know the guy, but Quentin is wondering, what are the production numbers looking like for the Byron? Some of the for the different lines. What are we looking at?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we talked. You talked about the Grand Poema that you smoked at Big's Mansion in Chicago, and that is a production of 200 boxes per year.
Wow.
So it comes out. Grand Poema sold out. We have I don't want to say the newer, but we have the vintage left. It's a 2014 vintage. 2014 of the 20th and 21st century, because that came out later. So I alluded to it earlier where I said it's great that he holds the production and he doesn't rush it, but it's also frustrating sometimes because when the new year starts, you're ready for that next vintage. But if it's not ready, he's not putting it out.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it just gets pushed back towards the end of the year. So they come out at different times, but something like the Grand Poema, only 200 boxes. Atabey's a little different. When he first started out, it was about 500 boxes, so very limited. But he's increased the production over the years, and you have to understand too. With selected tobacco and on that Atabey Byron Bandolero side, it's almost a one-man show. Nelson does the packaging, he does the design work, he orders all the boxes, and those boxes aren't $2 a piece. The bands are made by Vridek, and then that's the same company that makes all the Cuban bands.
Yeah.
So high quality. Everything's just top quality that he does. So he doesn't rush anything.
Are those 20 count boxes?
Sorry?
Are those 20 count boxes?
No. So everything. They're 25 count boxes. We have the Sabios now in Atabey. That's a 30 count box. The Ritos, which was like a Toro size, that was a 30 count box. That's now a 25 count box. So I'd say across the board, we're mostly 25 count boxes on all of the Atabey and Byron, with the exception of the Sabios, which is more of a 5.5 by 44 Corona size. That's a 30 count. And in Byron, it's the same thing, 25 count boxes across the board.
Okay.
Awesome.
And give us an idea about the because this is one of the lines I've been fascinated with and haven't tried yet, but the Bandolero line. Give us an idea about what smokers can expect to find if they see those in their shop, from a price point standpoint and from a blend standpoint for the Bandoleros.
Yeah, Bandolero's a little more approachable in pricing. But again, once you're aging a cigar, if you age a wine, a scotch, a whiskey, the price will be a little elevated. But Bandolero's a little more approachable, anywhere from around 12 to 16. Again, depending on your state's tobacco tax. A lot of consumers out there aren't 100% aware that their state has a tobacco tax. So they may see a cigar like a Bandolero at $19 and they'll get frustrated with the retailer. But it's not their fault. There's a heavy tobacco tax that has to be added onto that. So you might see it at 19, but usually it's right around that 12 to 16, $19 range. With the Bandolero, you're going to get a little more of a fuller bodied cigar. On the palate, it's very subtle. There are a lot of flavors, like on the Byron. Now, it's subtle on the palate. It's not overpowering, but it allows you to taste all the different nuances in that tobacco, and that's why you can pull out all those different flavors, because there's not one leaf in there, or there's not a blend in there that's overpowering the flavor profile.
Yeah.
So Bandolero is going to be more of that medium plus.
Okay. And then going on down the line, there's a lot of different facings, going on, and give us an idea of what, because are there some that are exclusives, or are they all wide release across the country?
In the United portfolio?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're exclusives to, you mean exclusive to different shops?
Yeah, exclusive to a particular shop or a particular region or something like that.
No, so we have the United line, that's our that's regular production. Those are 20 count boxes. That's completely available. Then we go to like a La Giana, that's made out of the Camacho factory in Honduras. So made by Davidoff, great, excellent quality. It's a pure Honduran, natural and Maduro. Box of 20, that's going to be around, just under the $10 retail, depending on the Vitola. Jose Dominguez, also a 20 count box. That's going to be a fantastic retail, right around $6, $7, $8, $9. Then we have the Firecracker. The Firecracker when you talk about exclusive, the Firecracker we have in regular production, Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. 4 different ligeros inside. You have 2 Dominican ligeros, a Pennsylvanian, and a Nicaraguan ligero. So that one's got a little bit of spice to it, and it's a shorter smoke that it just packs a ton of flavor. But every year there's a limited release that is through United Cigars, and the majority has gone through 2 guys, because in the past, really, that was, there weren't many accounts. But now, if you are a Firecracker retailer, then you have access to the limited release Firecracker. So this year it will be the Perdomo Firecracker. Okay. Last year was the Christoph, but we've worked with Roma Craft, we've worked with Fratello, La Flor Dominicana, Mi Querida. So that's an exciting project. And the ones that, like I said, the ones that are on board with Firecracker, they have access to that limited release.
Okay. And those, I know for a fact that I know so many smokers who seek out those Firecracker releases when they come. And right. I was not aware. So this is a good thing for people to know that if you want easier access to those Firecracker releases when they come out, tell your brick and mortar shops to carry the regular Firecracker, and then, they can have access to those, those special releases when they come out. Because so many people I know really that get really excited, when they start hearing the buzz on Cigar Authority, and they're like, oh man, the new Firecracker's coming out, cool, I'm gonna go get a couple boxes. So so I want to shift into this week's smokabulary word. Mm-hmm. And Garrett picked out a great smokabulary word for us this week. Garrett, what is this week's smokabulary word? Before you bring that up, let me tell you that, as we are every week, smokabulary is brought to you by AJ Fernandez. Born and raised in Cuba, AJ Fernandez now produces unparalleled premium cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The day-to-day operations at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez are managed under the watchful eye of Mr. Fernandez himself in order to ensure superior quality. The AJ Fernandez portfolio of premium cigars provides blend, strength, and flavor profiles to match the preferences of any premium cigar consumer. Whether it's New World, Dias de Gloria, San Latano, Enclave, or Bellas Artes, you are sure to be satisfied with a premium cigar from AJ Fernandez. So Garrett, hit us with this week's smokabulary word.
This week's smokabulary word is candela.
Candela? Why, Garrett, whatever could that word mean?
It means elephant dung in Spanish. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No.
Elephant dung in Swahili.
No, candela, as many of you may know, is when you see a green cigar, that is a candela. And starting in the mid 50s through the 70s, it was actually the most popular of cigar types in the U.S. The Cubans are really what started this, and it was an accident. I read that one of the curing houses actually lit on fire, and what they found was the hot baking almost these leaves. It traps that chlorophyll inside the leaf and doesn't allow it to escape. And so now what they do is they heat up these. It's a special, every candela wrapper or candela leaf gets baked in these special curing houses, locks in the chlorophyll, and then it's a process to bring the humidity back into the cigar, but trapping that chlorophyll and that green color into the cigar.
So when I see a green cigar on a shelf in a brick and mortar shop, that's not like Jolly Rancher. It's not like Green Apple.
Well, it could be. But
it could be, but that's a different kind of cigar altogether.
That is a totally different kind of cigar. But no, and I'll be the first to admit that candelas, for the most part, are not part of my enjoyable cigar variety. But there is one that I will smoke and enjoy.
What's that?
That would be the Illusione Candela 88.
Oh yeah, that's a good cigar.
That one is great, and obviously it's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, it's St. Patty's Day. That's right.
And so every year there's a few companies that do a special.
Candela.
Yeah,
there's some special candela stuff that usually comes out around this time of year. I'm kind of with you. I don't smoke a lot of candelas, but there are a few that I have in my humidor. Some that I've smoked that I've liked more than others. I think the Roma Craft Fomorian, I think that's a good candela. You typically get lots. I mean, and Oliver, you could speak to this too. If you smoke candela cigars, you're going to get, in most cases, you're going to get a lot of these. It tastes like it looks in a way. You get a lot of grassy floral notes from it. Some blends that use a candela wrapper, it's just too much for me.
Yep.
But then there are some that mix in some ligeros that give you a little bit of bite and a little bit of spice. So, and then, sometimes you'll get a little touch of broadleaf in the filler that'll give you some sweetness. But I'm kind of with you. Candelas aren't part of my regular rotation, but they're fun to smoke from time to time.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Oliver, what's some candela cigars that you've enjoyed in the past?
Yeah, the Candela is not in my regular rotation, but the Fomorian by Roma Craft is one that I have enjoyed. And if I'm going to smoke a Candela for a particular holiday or occasion or a bet that I lost, then it would be the. It's not my palate. It's not my favorite. Yeah. There is a market for it, and I know that they do well with it. And if I were to smoke one, I'd go back to that Roma Craft one.
Yeah, it's one that I've enjoyed, and I think I bought some a few years ago. I think I have one left.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who make a Candela, and you just rarely see them. Camacho makes one. Fuentes made the 858 Candela for a long time, and
yeah. Well, and even the curly head. I mean, you can even get the curly head still in a Candela.
Right. And every once in a while, with some of those bundle cigars, you'll see a section of the leaf that still has the green on it. Just showing, part of that cure process locked in, part of that chlorophyll.
Yeah.
So that's smokabulary.
As Bob Ross would say, it's a happy little accident.
Happy little.
Yes.
I love it. So that's this week's smokabulary word brought to you by AJ Fernandez. And my favorite segment of the week is Numero de los Muertos, brought to you by
Oveja Negra Brands, brings you premium smoking experiences forged from tobacco, time, and talent. Comprised of Black Label Trading Company, Black Work Studio, Dissident, and Emilio Oveja Negra brands provide smokers uncompromising blends renowned for their flavor and lasting impression. Oveja Negra, where art and tobacco collide. Join the flock. Visit ovejanegracigars.com to learn more.
Are you using the ombre backwards? I love
the what?
the ashtray.
No.
Oh,
We're actually not using it. We're just displaying it.
but the
yeah, I saw the cigar because this new design that we have, because we noticed that the first run, it was difficult to ash. So we put the little, what we call the ash hole.
the ash hole.
I saw the cigar in your ashtray.
Oh yeah.
Behind, the way it was positioned on the camera, it looked like the cigar was in that little slot because it looked like he was smoking.
Well, some of this
is awesome.
As it's because I've got this ombre ashtray sitting on top of another ashtray, and I think my cigar's right behind it, and I think the smoke might be going in that ash hole and coming up through the.
Yeah, it looks like he's smoking right now. That is,
and it's kind of the lights are so bright, it's kind of washed out. So
it's glowing.
It is glowing. It's so beautiful. One of you guys are going to be like the most lucky son of a gun in the world to win this ashtray. So so keep sharing this, because the more you share, there's going to be a lot more people that are going to have a chance to win. So what is the number this week for Numero de los Muertos?
So this number is 5,000 on average per year die from this.
5,000
in the U.S.
In the U.S. All right.
Coronavirus.
Oh yeah, we're still fortunately way below that.
And the opening clue is just people minding their own business.
People minding their own business?
Yep.
Pedestrian deaths?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Oh my God.
Boom. Welcome to United Cigars.
All right. That's a walk-off.
That's a show.
That's a walk-off.
Thanks, guys.
Ninth inning.
Wow.
2 on, 2 out, 3-2 count. Oliver just there it goes. Gone.
Yeah. Now the numbers on this, so they're starting to rise. And recent study last year done equates the rise in pedestrian deaths. So last year it was actually 6,500.
Okay.
And equates this to people with their faces in their phones.
Going across a crosswalk.
Yep.
And not looking up.
And not, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, and I've talked about this once or twice before, but so I work in downtown Minneapolis, and if you've ever spent time in downtown Minneapolis, you know that because of the temperatures, the way they can get in January and February, there's a skyway system on the second floor of all the high rises that interlocks everything, so you can walk throughout the downtown area without being outside. And I will tell you that I'll get up from my desk a few times a day to go take a walk just to get some exercise and get away from, although right now I can't go to the office, I have to work from home, but I get up a couple times a day from my desk to walk around and just stretch my legs every single day. And I just put on my headphones and usually listen to cigar podcasts, because I listen to most of the cigar podcasts that are out there. And I'm walking through the Skyway with my headphones on, my phone in my pocket, and at least 10 times every time I'm walking, and I'm only walking for 15, 20 minutes at a pop, there's at least a dozen people that I almost walked right into. And they've got 10 feet on either side of me, and they're staring at their phone. And it's unavoidable that every single time I go out there and take a walk, some jerk is staring at TikTok or whatever the hell on their phone and almost blast me right over. So, and that's just, in the Skyway. I mean, yeah, people crossing a bus stop while they're, watching YouTube or some
light rail.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. And I have to say, maybe I cheated a little bit on that question, only because when I lived in Las Vegas, there were so many pedestrian deaths because of the drivers. Mostly, and I would say, I guess probably the pedestrian as well, but they're so distracted. They're looking at the lights, they're looking at the casinos, they're looking at the people walking, the water show at Bellagio, or the Treasure Island show. So they're distracted, and they were hitting pedestrians. So it was always in the news. So when you said that, that's what popped up. But now you have the consumer, or not the consumer, but now you have the pedestrian more distracted because they're in their phones. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That makes total sense in, from the standpoint of Vegas, because the first time I went to Vegas, I probably almost got run over a few times, because I'm walking through the crosswalks, just looking up at everything. And this wasn't me being on my phone. This was just me being sort of enamored by this ridiculous city that I was walking through for the first time. And I can only imagine the same thing. I've never actually driven in Vegas. I've always been there for work or for the IPCPR. So, I'm either walking or I'm in an Uber or a cab or something like that. So fortunately, I've never had to drive in Vegas. I don't think I would enjoy that too much.
I'm walking here.
I'll be, my older brother lives in Minnesota, and I'll be out there. I had to visit Tobacco Grove is out there.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I talked to those guys, and they carry the Atabey Byron, and
Yep.
be out there to see them. I think that's Memorial Day weekend, end of May.
Yeah.
Well, hit us up, man.
Hopefully we can travel at that point.
Yeah. If travel restrictions are lifted by then and you're still going to be around, just give us a shout. We'd love to come out and share a cigar with you.
We did our show live from there a couple weeks ago and interviewed Jeff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they've done a great job, and they're very supportive of us, and they have a great line. And in fact, we're big. We have a big supporter, and we're big fans of Industrial Cigars in Frisco, Texas. One of the owners and the son of Dave Frakes, Brandon Frakes, redid the packaging on the Frakes line. So it's just great to see a lot of these guys working together, and I'll use it, but becoming united.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely. So that is this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, Oliver. So these next questions are extremely important.
Very important.
So
That's why I'm here.
if you could hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
Of one living person?
Living person.
Just their thoughts. Wow, that's a great question. Ted Williams, his head's frozen. Does he count as a living person? I'd love to get into that head.
That would be fantastic.
Yep.
A little bit of what's going on in that frozen skull of his.
Yeah, Ted Williams. The
hitting
probably
monster.
probably the best hitter of all time.
Yeah, I mean, was a pilot in the war, and came back. What could he have done if he didn't go? But he served his country, and and then came back and still played.
Yeah. And the year that he refused to sit out the last couple games of the season to keep his 400 average, he refused. The manager said, "Sit these out. You keep your 400 average." And he's like, "No, I'm going to keep playing."
Right.
He kept playing, and he kept his average. He still ended up with 404, I think.
Yeah, 402.
Maybe it was 402.
So,
but just one of the best.
What a beast.
One of the best.
I hate to get that wrong as a Red Sox fan.
What's that?
I hate to get that wrong as a Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
I need to double check.
Yeah. So next question. If you were about to get into a fight, what soundtrack music would come on?
That's great. It'd have to be a little Toby Keith. I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yes.
That's a great choice. That's the first time we've had that answer. That's
a
great choice.
Yeah. We have not had that.
So choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman, or you could score a goal in a hockey game as the goalie.
Home run.
Home run. Boom. Yeah.
With that Ted Williams, I was.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be it.
I did too.
And as a pitcher, I mean, as a baseball fan, you watch pitchers, and then they control a lot of the majority of the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
For them, and they're constantly going, they're constantly working. Same with a catcher. That's why catchers' batting averages are usually low. That's why pitchers, they either don't hit, or they if they do come up to bat in the National League, they don't hit well. But to be able to see a pitcher, or to be a pitcher pitching in a game, then all of a sudden launching a home run would be phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you could give one piece of advice to a new cigar consumer, what would it be?
Start from the left and go to the right. Right, because everyone's got an opinion about a cigar. And then when you're looking for guidance in a humidor, you have cigar shop owners or employees. Some are well educated, or some are really guiding the consumer in maybe not the best direction. But then you have a lot of shop owners and employees that are very well educated, and they're doing the right thing. But again, as you talked about earlier, everyone has a different palate. So the best thing to do, they'll guide you in the right direction. You're starting out, so they should lead you towards something a little, maybe less aggressive on the palate, milder. But I've been amazed. We, as United, some of our events, we do blind taste challenges. So we'll cover the band of 2 cigars. And it's amazing. Some people will say, "Oh, well, I'm just starting out. That cigar looks dark, and it's going to be, it's really not for me. I don't usually smoke that." I said, "Well, just sit through it, and if you don't like it, then set them both down, and we'll figure something else out for you." But at the end of the experience, they're like, "Wow, that, those were really good. That was a really good experience. I never would have picked something like this out. Not only our cigar, but the other cigar that we're kind of going up against." So for a consumer, somebody that's new, the best part about cigars is that there are so many that you can really, when you walk in the humidor, start from the left, move to the right, and just figure out what's the best for you.
Yeah, definitely. So the same question, if you could give a piece of advice to a brick and mortar cigar retailer, what would it be?
Carry United.
There you go. Great answer.
Listen, you got to buy United, smoke United, live United.
Yep.
The only way to do that is to get it on your shelf.
There you go. And kind of delving a little bit into formerly IPCPR, now known as the PCA, the artist formerly known as IPCPR. If you could give one piece of advice to them as an organization, obviously we're hoping that the trade show happens this summer, but we'll see what we see. But if you could give one piece of advice to them as an organization, what would it be?
That's a really tricky question. So one piece of advice without getting too deep into it, we didn't sign up for this year, and that was a decision we made during our sign up process, because at the end of the show you have an allotted time to do a booth selection. We didn't sign up for multiple reasons. Look, we need consumers. I'm a consumer, but I'm also on the manufacturing side and distribution side. We need consumers, but to bring consumers into a trade show, we were against, because again, we're all about brick and mortar. So for me, for the IPCPR, it turned into, and we fell into it as well. It turned into a big dollar show. Who's got the most money to have the biggest booth to really suffocate the little guys? And when it was RTDA, when it was starting out, you didn't have as many of these big booths, and it was exciting to go to the show because there were new products, and you were going there to see people in the industry, but you were also going there to find what's new. And it seemed like over the years, the booths kept getting bigger and bigger, walls kept getting bigger and bigger, so you couldn't see all the new boutique lines, and there are a lot of great cigars out there. And when I say we fell into the trap, we did. We ended up with a 20 by 80 booth, and we kept adding booth space because we wanted to be bigger and bigger. But in the end, we're just we were kind of spending money, which does help a good cause as well, because they're fighting for us as well. But really, I would say just kind of bring it back to the artistry of cigars, so that retailers can experience what's out there.
Yeah, no, that's a great, because it really is that show is supposed to be about the retailers, the retailers going and learning about the products, learning about the companies, learning about the people, building relationships. And I hope the show happens this year. Sorry, you're not going to be there. I totally understand the company's position.
But with that said, now that you have some of those larger companies that are going out, and those were the ones that were excited about consumers going, because they would capture all of the consumer addresses, because they do have a heavy presence online. So now that they're out, and PCA is kind of being restructured, we're hoping to find a spot and reintroduce ourselves to the show, because we want to support it.
Yeah.
We want to support the industry. We want to be there.
Yeah.
Just didn't like the direction it was going. And then, we also had issues with the setup, the convention hall, the charges, everything was just going up and up and up and becoming frustrating. And, our, what we called seniority points, seemed to be going to the wayside. So we kept being pushed back, and our time to choose a booth wasn't the best. So we felt we weren't supported the way we wanted to be supported, but now the direction that they're going in, and now that some other companies aren't going, we're looking to be a part of it, because it is a great organization. We want to support it. So we will, if the show does happen, and we hope it will. We hope it does happen. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's move into this week's notable smokables. And Oliver, each week Garrett and I talk about a couple of things we smoked during the last week or so that were interesting to us. It could be something old, could be something new. Obviously, you're spending a lot of time smoking United cigars, and that makes a lot of sense. But do you get a chance from time to time to reach for something else from a cigar shelf, something interesting recently that you enjoyed?
Yeah. So great friend, and a cigar that I do grab, and if I see it when I see it in the shops, I'll pick up, is the Patina.
Mo.
Chicago. He's a Midwestern guy, and he makes a great cigar. So I'll grab the Patina, and that was one of the last ones I smoked. I saw him at the TPE show that just happened in January, and he gave me one of his newer sizes, and it's a shorter. I forget the name of it. It was like a short Corona.
Yeah.
Just a ton of flavor. Great construction, great blend. So that's one that I lean towards. And then and one of the other ones that I smoked relatively recently. I was in Houston, and went to one of the Davidoff lounges, and they gave me one of their event cigars. That was pretty tasty.
Nice. For me, just because of where we were over the weekend, we were at Ristafari for JSK cigars, and again, I purchased some that I hadn't had in a while, which was that Tyrannical Buck Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cigar I really enjoy a lot. It's one of those Connecticut's. There's been this great renaissance of Connecticut shade cigars in the last few years, and that's one of those newer ones that has a lot of flavor behind a relatively mild wrapper, but it's a cigar I enjoy a lot. What was one of yours, Garrett?
Well, so I don't know. Have you announced the winner yet for the number?
No, we
cigars?
should. Do you know the name?
I don't.
We'll announce that we had a winner from our guess the number of cigars, but we'll announce that in a separate post.
So Matt and I smoked a lot of cigars.
A lot
of the last few days, and for me, my first notable smokable was on Friday the 13th. I smoked a Jason.
Oh yeah,
Tatawahe Monster Jason, and it was stupid.
Well, those have. What are those, 6 years old now?
Yeah. It was an OG Jason. So it was so good.
Did it still have the power behind it?
It still did have the power. And I was, probably the first third into it, I was like, I am going to die. I am going to be murdered. But it didn't continue to ramp up. So I did think it lost a little bit of its strengths. In the second half of the cigar, so it didn't kill me, but the flavors were still on point.
Nice. And my other one, I guess, if I had another one this week, was I finally got my hands on some of the Mi Querida Tricky Traca. So the Red Band's Mi Querida. Very different cigar than the original Mi Querida. Very different cigar, but very good cigar. There's some different things going on. I'm a huge fan of the original Mi Querida in the Gordita size, the 4x48. But yeah, this new Tricky Traca, there's definitely power behind it. You get that, the tips of those Ligero leaves in that last third. But yeah, nice cigar, really enjoyable.
My second one would be the JSK FDA.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you had a chance to smoke that one yet, but
I haven't smoked one yet. I bought a bundle, but I haven't smoked one yet.
Dude, that was fire.
Nice.
Nice.
I'll have to fire one of those up.
I had one here last night. Open up the pack, shared one with a few guys, and or shared a couple sticks with a few guys. Did some trade baits. It was good.
Nice,
good trading, and I think it's one of the strongest cigars Risty has ever put out.
Okay. Yeah, he said it was probably going to be.
And no joke. It is a powerhouse, but with good flavor.
Nice.
Yeah. So hats off to Risty on the new FDA cigar.
Awesome. Well, guys, we've got some good stuff coming up in the coming weeks. Hopefully, if we're able to, stay on the air, we've got next week. James Brown from Black Label Trading Company is going to be on the show, and the week after that, we're going to have Terrence Riley from Aganorsa Leaf, and then the following week,
wife's birthday.
I don't know. That's 2 weeks after that, so I don't remember. My wife's birthday's coming up.
That one you got to remember.
That one I got to remember. We will not have a Tuesday night show on April 14th. That's my wife's birthday. That takes precedence, definitely. We'll have a Monday night show the night before on the 13th. So that's what we have coming up. I want to give everybody a reminder, like we said at the beginning of the show, with everything going on right now, if you start running low on your favorite cigars, please get on your phone and call your brick and mortar shops and ask them what they have in stock. Place an order over the phone. If they make this available to you, place an order over the phone, pay for it with your credit card, and go pick them up curbside. Keep those brick and mortar cigar shops going as much as you can while all this craziness is going on out there.
They're really going to hurt.
Yeah, they're going to feel it. So please, keep doing that, and stay hunker down and just keep yourselves safe and healthy. Oliver, give everybody a final idea where they can find out more about United Cigars and any special things you might have coming up soon.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, soon. I wish we had more. I had to cancel a couple events. Nickel City Cigar in Buffalo. They were doing a grand opening this weekend. Unfortunately, I was headed up there Thursday. And I think they were doing the grand opening with Tatuaje, but unfortunately that's getting. I don't know. I don't want to say that one's getting canceled. So if you're in Buffalo and you want to go, check with them first. In Arizona, Ambassador Cigars was doing a multi-vendor. That one, I'm not able to go to. So as far as the upcoming, we had one in Plasdale in New Hampshire this Friday. That one's again getting canceled. So it's hard to say what's coming up. Exciting things that we're doing on the United side. I was just in the Dominican. We've the Jose Dominguez factory, Magia Cubana. They've been planting the last 5 years. They've been working in Las Matas de Farfan, and if you can look in that area, it's a lot of rice, beans that are grown out there, and the soil is incredibly rich. So we're growing new leaves out there. And I was just at the farm. The leaves look phenomenal. So now we have them. We had them in the barns. They'll be going to the factory here soon. So it's not going to be ready for a little while, but it's an exciting project that I'm really looking forward to tasting. And it's got a little bit of sweetness to the leaf. So that's an exciting project. Outside of that, the support, just consumers going out there and asking your local brick and mortar to bring in some United lines. Try some United products. We'd love to see you on social media, and hopefully I get out to your neighborhood soon, and we can share a cigar.
Absolutely.
And what is your moniker on all the social media?
So we're United Cigar Group. We're United Cigar Group cigar.com. Website's getting redone, but still available, so you can check for local retailers there. And then on social media, we're United Cigars, and hashtag is Live United.
Awesome.
Love it.
Oliver, thank you so much for spending some time with us and giving the listeners and viewers a little bit of an idea of what United Cigars has going on.
Mhm.
I appreciate you guys you bringing me on, taking the time to share a cigar with me during this crazy time. And other than that, spray yourselves down, wipe everything down, stay clean and stay healthy, stay safe.
All right. Hey,
You as well, man.
guys, as always, if you have any questions, you can email us directly on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. You can send us an email or a message rather directly on Facebook. Don't forget to keep sharing this out, because we are going to select somebody who shares this video out to win this beautiful ashtray here. And until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
Not bridges.
take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys in May.